Cao Biền and the Dragon Veins of Vietnam, the grand suppression of spirits. In the history of Vietnam, there is a name that evokes both mysticism and controversy: Cao Biền. A man who was not only a general but also a sorcerer, tasked with a mission that reached beyond mere military conquest. He sought to control the very spirit of the land, a quest that would echo through the centuries. This is the story of Cao Biền and his attempt to suppress the dragon veins, the lifeblood of Vietnam. During the 9th century, under the rule of China's Tang dynasty, Cao Biền was sent to Giao Chi, an area known today as northern Vietnam. Though officially there is a governor and military leader, his mission held a secret layer, one deeply spiritual and profoundly impactful. He was tasked with weakening the rebellious spirit of the Vietnamese people by disrupting the geomantic power of the land. To understand Cao Bien's mission, we must first delve into the concept of dragon veins. In both Chinese and Vietnamese cultures, these veins, known as long mok, are believed to be channels of energy that flow through the land. They are akin to the body's vital energy pathways, and when disrupted, the well-being of the people and the prosperity of the region can be significantly affected. In the ancient art of feng shui, the dragon veins represent the energy flow that maintains harmony between the heavens, earth, and humanity. The belief was that these veins brought prosperity, health, and strength to those who lived upon them. Thus, disrupting these dragon veins meant disrupting the very soul of the people. Cao Biền, with his knowledge of geomancy and powerful rituals, sought to suppress these dragon veins, thereby limiting the spiritual and national energy of the Vietnamese. But the spirit of the land, and the people connected to it, would prove to be far more resilient than anticipated. Join us as we explore Cao Bien's journey through Vietnam, the mysterious rituals he performed, and the legends that have lingered throughout history. Discover the profound connection between nature, spirituality, and resilience as we delve into this compelling story of power, mysticism, and resistance. The Tang dynasty, often regarded as one of the greatest empires in Chinese history, was a period of cultural prosperity, military strength, and territorial expansion. From the 7th to the 9th century, the Tang rulers sought to extend their influence beyond their traditional borders, pushing into Central Asia, the Korean Peninsula, and Southeast Asia. During this era, Southeast Asia became a focal point of Tang expansion. Giao Chi, known today as northern Vietnam, was of particular interest. Its strategic location, fertile lands, and cultural diversity made it an important territory. The Tang rulers sought not only to control it militarily, but also to ensure that its spirit of independence was subdued. However, governing this region was not an easy task. The people of Giao Chi had a strong sense of identity and a deep connection to their land. Rebellions were frequent, and the Tang administration faced constant resistance from the local population. Enter Cao Biền, a distinguished figure in Tang history. Cao Biền was not just a military general, but also a skilled practitioner of the mystic arts. He was a man of dual talents, excelling in both the battlefield and the spiritual realm. The Tang court saw in Cao Biền an ideal candidate, capable of handling not only the military governance of Giao Chi but also the spiritual challenge of controlling the land's powerful energies. Appointed as the governor of Giao Chi in the 9th century, Cao Biền led numerous campaigns to pacify local uprisings. His military prowess was undeniable. He established order and expanded infrastructure. Yet, his true mission went beyond enforcing political control. Cao Biền was entrusted with a secret and highly spiritual task: to suppress the dragon veins of the region and weaken the spirit of the land itself. In the Tang dynasty, the belief in geomancy, or feng shui, played a critical role in governance. It was believed that the power of a region could be controlled by manipulating its energy channels, known as long mok, or dragon veins. The dragon veins were thought to be the lifeblood of the land, imbued with the power to bring prosperity or disaster, depending on how they were influenced. Cao Biền was a practitioner of these arts, and his mission in Vietnam was clear: to suppress the spiritual energy of Giao Chi, to stifle rebellion, and to secure Tang control. Using his knowledge of feng shui, Cao Biền identified key locations throughout the land, places where the dragon veins were strongest. Here, he conducted rituals designed to disrupt the flow of energy, to suppress the spiritual vitality of the Vietnamese people. His actions were an attempt to create a land drained of its power, one that would no longer challenge the might of the Tang dynasty. Cao Bian's role was thus twofold: a governor wielding the sword and a sorcerer wielding the power of the unseen. His influence reached deep into the spiritual fabric of Jiao Qi, leaving a legacy that has become part of the folklore and mythology of the region. Yet, the spirit of Vietnam would prove to be far more resilient than even the most powerful sorcerer could anticipate. The story of Cao Bian is not just one of military conquest, but also a tale of spiritual warfare, one that reveals the profound connection between land, culture, and resistance. To understand his influence is to understand a key chapter in the enduring resilience of the Vietnamese spirit. Dragon veins, also known as ley lines, are an ancient concept that plays a significant role in geomancy, a practice deeply rooted in understanding and harnessing the energy of the earth. Originating from Eastern and Western traditions alike, these ideas reflect a belief in invisible energy networks that influence the spiritual, physical, and emotional balance of a landscape. Dragon veins, ley lines. In geomancy, the term dragon veins is often associated with Chinese feng shui, where they refer to the pathways of energy flowing through the land. These pathways are visualized as dragon-like streams of vital energy, qi, winding through mountains and valleys, much like the flow of blood through a body. The landscape's bones, mountain ranges, and flesh, valleys and rivers, form a complex network believed to have the power to influence prosperity, health, and harmony. In Western traditions, the concept of ley lines echoes the idea of dragon veins, albeit under a different guise. Ley lines are believed to be straight, invisible lines that connect various sacred or historical sites, such as stone circles, churches, and other significant landmarks. The idea is that these lines represent channels of earth energy, forming a grid that can be tapped into to harness positive effects on well-being, spiritual growth, and harmony. The influence of dragon veins on prosperity and spiritual energy. According to geomancy, dragon veins play a critical role in determining the fortune of an area or dwelling. When these veins are balanced and flowing, the land is thought to be imbued with vibrant qi, leading to prosperity, health, and abundance for the inhabitants. Conversely, if the flow of energy is blocked or disrupted, it is said to lead to stagnation, misfortune, or ill health. In feng shui practice, special attention is given to identifying and enhancing these natural energy lines when determining where to build homes, temples, or entire cities. By harmonizing human activities with the natural flow of the land's energy, geomancy aims to create a supportive environment that fosters well-being, success, and spiritual fulfillment. Originating from Eastern and Western traditions alike, these ideas reflect a belief in invisible energy networks that influence the spiritual, physical, and emotional balance of a landscape. Dragon veins, ley lines. In geomancy, the term dragon veins is often associated with Chinese feng shui, where they refer to the pathways of energy flowing through the land. These pathways are visualized as dragon-like streams of vital energy, qi, winding through mountains and valleys, much like the flow of blood through a body. The landscape's bones, mountain ranges, and flesh, valleys and rivers, form a complex network believed to have the power to influence prosperity, health, and harmony. In Western traditions, the concept of ley lines echoes the idea of dragon veins, albeit under a different guise. Ley lines are believed to be straight, invisible lines that connect various sacred or historical sites, such as stone circles, churches, and other significant landmarks. The idea is that these lines represent channels of earth energy, forming a grid that can be tapped into to harness positive effects on well-being, spiritual growth, and harmony. The influence of dragon veins on prosperity and spiritual energy. According to geomancy, dragon veins play a critical role in determining the fortune of an area or dwelling. When these veins are balanced and flowing, the land is thought to be imbued with vibrant qi, leading to prosperity, health, and abundance for the inhabitants. Conversely, if the flow of energy is blocked or disrupted, it is said to lead to stagnation, misfortune, or ill health. In feng shui practice, special attention is given to identifying and enhancing these natural energy lines when determining where to build homes, temples, or entire cities. By harmonizing human activities with the natural flow of the land's energy, Geomancy aims to create a supportive environment that fosters well-being, success, and spiritual fulfillment. Interpreting dragon veins in modern times. Modern interpretations of dragon veins and ley lines often link them to the idea of Earth's electromagnetic fields. This perspective holds that certain places naturally resonate with energy that can be harnessed for healing, spiritual practices, or simply as a way to create a more positive living environment. People who are sensitive to energy often claim that ley lines are particularly powerful when they intersect, creating nodes or power spots, where the energy is believed to be exceptionally strong. Such places often become sites of pilgrimage, meditation, or reflection, as they are thought to help individuals connect more deeply with the earth and experience heightened states of consciousness. Stonehenge in England, Machu Picchu in Peru, and Uluru in Australia are examples of places thought to be located along significant ley lines, reflecting humanity's enduring relationship with these mysterious energy channels. Conclusion: the concept of dragon veins and ley lines provides a way of viewing the natural world as interconnected, filled with unseen forces that influence all life. Whether approached from the perspective of ancient geomancy or modern spirituality, these energy pathways invite us to respect the land, align ourselves with its rhythms, and seek harmony between human existence and the greater forces at play. By tapping into these currents, many believe that we can enhance not only the prosperity and well-being of our surroundings, but also our spiritual lives. Deepening our connection to the earth and to one another. Cao Bien's biography, Origins, Rise in China's Military and Political Structure, and his mission in Vietnam, Jiao Qi, Origins, and Early Life. Cao Bian was a notable figure in Chinese history during the Tang Dynasty. He was born in 821 AD in Shui Commandery, present-day Hebei Province, China, into a family with a history of serving in the military and civil administration. His family background provided him with opportunities to gain a solid education, including knowledge of military strategy, Confucian classics, and geomancy. These skills would prove essential in his later endeavors. Rise in the Chinese military and political structure. Cao Bian's career began within the Tang military, where he quickly demonstrated remarkable talent in both administrative and combat roles. His reputation was built upon his successful campaigns against rebel forces and foreign threats. He became known for his tactical intelligence and the ability to maintain stability in troubled regions, which earned him the trust of the Tang court. As a result, Cao Bian rose rapidly through the ranks, securing important military and administrative positions. Cao Bian was appointed as a Jidushi, military governor, a powerful position that gave him significant authority over military affairs in the region he governed. His competence in suppressing local uprisings and managing frontier regions solidified his reputation as a capable leader. Additionally, his knowledge of geomancy, feng shui, gained him a mystical reputation, and many believed he possessed the ability to influence the fortunes of the lands he managed, further adding to his aura of authority. Reasons for his mission to Vietnam. Jiao Qi. During the 9th century, Jiao Qi, modern-day northern Vietnam, was part of the Chinese Tang Empire. This region, however, was known for frequent unrest and rebellion against Chinese rule, driven by the desire for local autonomy and resistance to foreign control. The Tang court recognized the strategic importance of Jiao Qi, both for its economic resources and its geographical position as a southern frontier territory. Stability in Jiao Qi was vital to securing China's southern border against potential threats and ensuring the continuous flow of tribute and resources. In 864 AD, Cao Bian was sent by the Tang Emperor to Jiao Qi with the mission of suppressing the rebellion led by Nanzhao, a powerful kingdom that had been influencing and inciting unrest in the region. The local population was increasingly defiant, and the Nanzhao forces had allied with local insurgents, posing a serious threat to Tang authority in the area. Cao Bian's military prowess and administrative acumen made him the ideal candidate to restore order. Upon arriving in Jiao Qi, Cao Bian led a series of successful military campaigns, driving back the Nanzhao forces and quelling local resistance. He also worked to stabilize the region by repairing infrastructure, building fortresses, and strengthening the local administration. One of his notable achievements was the construction of dikes along the Red River to control flooding, which improved agricultural productivity and won the support of local inhabitants. Legacy in Cao Bien's time in Jiaoqi left a lasting impression on the region. His efforts in infrastructure development and his use of geomancy to determine strategic locations for fortresses earned him a certain degree of respect from the local population. He was seen as a capable and pragmatic leader who brought stability to a troubled land. However, his mystical practices, such as identifying dragon veins in the region and trying to suppress them to maintain Chinese control, also contributed to his enigmatic legacy. In Vietnamese folklore, Cao Biên is remembered as a figure who possessed magical powers, but whose ultimate aim was to solidify foreign dominance over the land. Cao Bien's mission in Jiaoqi reflected the broader goals of the Tang dynasty, maintaining control over its vast territories while dealing with the complexities of frontier governance. His effectiveness as both a military commander and an administrator helped to extend Tang influence over Jiaoqi for a time, but local resistance and the eventual weakening of the Tang dynasty would pave the way for Vietnam's struggle for independence in the centuries that followed. Cao Bien's role in Vietnam, his journey, actions to suppress the dragon veins, and efforts to weaken Vietnamese spirit and independence. Journey to Jiaoqi. Cao Biên, a prominent general and administrator of the Tang dynasty, was sent to Jiaoqi, present-day northern Vietnam, in 864 AD. He was tasked with quelling the escalating turmoil in the region, which included threats from the Nanzhao kingdom and increasing resistance from the local population. Jiaoqi was a strategically important frontier for the Chinese Empire, and maintaining control over the region was crucial for securing its southern territories and sustaining tribute. Cao Bien's arrival was marked by a series of military victories over both Nanzhao forces and local insurgents, which earned him respect as a capable commander. However, his mission extended beyond mere military conquest. His approach involved cultural and spiritual strategies designed to weaken the independence movement and ensure Chinese dominance over the region. Actions to suppress the dragon veins. One of the most notable aspects of Cao Bien's time in Jiaoqi was his engagement with geomancy, particularly in relation to the concept of dragon veins, mak rong. In traditional Chinese feng shui, dragon veins refer to powerful energy lines within the land, believed to carry the vital life force, qi, that affects prosperity, harmony, and the spiritual strength of a region and its people. These energy lines were seen as having the potential to enhance the fortunes and power of the local population if left unaltered. Understanding the significance of these dragon veins, Cao Biên used geomancy as a tool for political control. He aimed to suppress these natural energy sources, believing that doing so would weaken the spiritual power and morale of the Vietnamese people, thus reducing their desire and ability to resist Chinese rule. He traveled extensively across Jiaoqi, identifying areas where these veins were thought to be most potent. Cao Biên is believed to have conducted rituals and built structures, such as towers, fortresses, and temples, in locations where he determined the dragon veins were concentrated, with the intent of suppressing their power. This effort to manipulate the natural energy of the land was a calculated attempt to undermine the resilience and independence of the local people. By disrupting the flow of positive energy, Cao Biên hoped to diminish the strength of resistance against Chinese influence. His actions reflected a belief that the spiritual landscape of Jiaoqi was intertwined with the political and social dynamics of the region. Weakened spirit and struggle for independence. Cao Bien's actions in Jiaoqi exemplified the Tang dynasty's broader strategy of using both military and cultural means to maintain control over its frontier territories. He not only fought battles on the ground but also tried to influence the spiritual and psychological aspects of local resistance. The suppression of dragon veins was an effort to prevent the rise of influential local leaders or any potential figure who might rally the people toward independence. Despite his efforts, the spirit of the Vietnamese people proved resilient. The legacy of Cao Bien's campaigns and his geomantic practices became part of Vietnamese folklore, often cast in a negative light. He is remembered as a figure who, despite his abilities, attempted to manipulate and control the inherent power of the land and its people for foreign dominance. His actions were seen as an embodiment of foreign attempts to subjugate Vietnam, and they fueled the desire for autonomy and freedom among the local population. In the centuries that followed, the weakening of the Tang dynasty and subsequent political fragmentation in China provided an opportunity for the Vietnamese people to reassert their independence. The resilience against foreign dominance, despite attempts to suppress both their physical and spiritual strength, laid the foundation for the eventual emergence of the independent Dai Viet Kingdom in 938 AD under No Nguyen, following his victory over the southern Han at the Battle of Bac Dang River. Conclusion: Cao Bien's role in Jiao Qi was multifaceted, combining military strategy with an attempt to manipulate the spiritual landscape of the land. His actions to suppress the dragon veins represent an intriguing intersection of political power, cultural influence, and spiritual belief. While his efforts to weaken the Vietnamese spirit were ambitious, they ultimately failed to suppress the enduring desire for independence that lived within the people of Jiao Qi. Cao Bien's story is a reminder of how intertwined the spiritual, cultural, and political realms can be, especially in the context of resistance against foreign control. A detailed analysis of Cao Bien's methods, employing geomancy to alter the energy and spiritual flow of the land. Cao Bian, the Tang dynasty general and administrator, is well remembered for not only his military campaigns, but also for his strategic use of geomancy, feng shui, in an effort to manipulate the energy flow of Jiao Qi, modern-day northern Vietnam. His aim was to weaken the power of the land and diminish the spirit of the local population, making it easier for China to maintain control over the region. This detailed analysis explores the methods Cao Bian used to alter the energy and spiritual flow of the land and how he identified key locations for his rituals, employing geomancy to alter spiritual energy. Cao Bian was well versed in the principles of geomancy, which he used as a tool of political control. In Chinese tradition, the concept of geomancy, also known as feng shui, was not merely a practice of placing buildings in harmony with nature, but also a means of harnessing the earth's qi, vital energy, to enhance power and prosperity. This practice was rooted in the belief that energy lines, or dragon veins, Mak Rong, ran throughout the land, contributing to the health, vitality, and fortune of the inhabitants. Cao Bian understood that the flow of qi in the land of Jiao Qi had the potential to empower the people, enhancing their spirit of independence and resistance to foreign domination. To mitigate this potential, he used geomancy in several ways, identifying key energy nodes. Cao Bian traveled extensively across Jiao Qi, studying the landscape to identify key nodes where dragon veins were concentrated. These nodes were believed to be places where energy converged, creating spots of particularly potent spiritual power. He used his knowledge of geomancy to locate mountains, rivers, and other natural features that acted as conduits for this energy flow. One of his main tasks was to find locations where these dragon veins intersected, as these intersections were considered the most powerful sources of qi. These areas often corresponded to places of spiritual significance or where local leaders could draw inspiration and strength. Rituals to suppress the dragon veins. Once these key locations were identified, Cao Bian performed rituals to suppress or disrupt the natural flow of energy. The aim was to neutralize the potency of the dragon veins, thereby weakening the region's collective spirit. He employed several methods for this purpose. Building structures. Cao Bian ordered the construction of towers, fortresses, temples, and other heavy structures at these key energy nodes. These structures were designed to weigh down and disrupt the flow of qi. By placing something physically imposing on these spiritual power spots, he intended to block the energy from reaching its full potential, essentially pinning down the dragon veins to reduce their influence. Creating barricades. Another method involved constructing barricades, dikes, and other physical obstacles along rivers and valleys that served as pathways for the dragon veins. By altering the natural landscape, he attempted to divert or break the flow of energy. For instance, his famous project to build dikes along the Red River was not just about controlling floods, but also about altering the natural patterns of energy flow that sustained the land. Geomantic manipulation of fortifications. Cao Bian used the construction of fortifications as a double-edged tool. While fortresses served a practical military function, they also had geomantic significance. He placed these fortifications in locations that not only provided strategic military advantages, but also disrupted dragon veins that could otherwise serve as a source of strength for potential uprisings. By building walls and creating restricted zones around these energy nodes, he aimed to control and monitor access to these places of spiritual influence, thus limiting the ability of the locals to connect with their natural power sources. How Cao Bian identified key locations. Cao Bian's success in identifying key locations for his geomantic interventions was rooted in his deep understanding of feng shui principles and his methodical approach to surveying the land. His methods included visual surveying. Cao Bian employed visual surveying of the landscape to understand the interplay between mountains, rivers, and valleys. According to traditional Chinese geomancy, certain natural features like mountain ranges and river bends were thought to embody the flow of qi. He observed the topography to identify auspicious features, mountains representing the dragon's backbone and rivers symbolizing its arteries. Use of divination tools. It is believed that Cao Bian used divination tools, such as a luo pan, feng shui compass, to locate energy lines and assess the balance of yin and yang forces in the landscape. The luo pan helped him determine the direction, strength, and flow of qi, enabling him to identify sites where energy converged or flowed strongly. These locations were then targeted for intervention. Consultation of local folklore. Cao Bian is also said to have drawn on local knowledge and folklore to identify places of power. In Jiao Qi, the local population had long believed in the sacredness of certain mountains, rivers, and forests, which were considered the dwelling places of spirits and the sources of life-giving energy. By consulting local traditions, Cao Bian could pinpoint areas that held spiritual significance for the people. His goal was to identify these important spots and suppress their potential to become centers of resistance. Astrological timing. Cao Bian timed his rituals to align with auspicious dates determined through astrology. The belief was that certain days were more effective for conducting geomantic rituals, which could enhance the desired effects on the energy of the land. His use of astrological knowledge gave his actions a greater sense of legitimacy and power, both to his followers and as a means of psychological manipulation over the locals. Impact of Cao Bian's methods. The actions Cao Bian took to suppress the dragon veins were part of a broader strategy to ensure Chinese control over Jiao Qi. By attempting to disrupt the natural energy of the land, he sought to weaken the morale, unity, and spiritual resilience of the Vietnamese people. This tactic was intended to undermine any latent power that might enable local leaders to rally the people against Chinese rule. Despite Cao Bian's efforts, the Vietnamese spirit of resistance proved stronger than he anticipated. The people's connection to the land and their desire for autonomy remained intact, ultimately leading to the region's eventual independence from Chinese domination. His attempts to manipulate the energy of the land may have had temporary effects, but they did not succeed in quelling the Vietnamese determination for self-rule. In conclusion, Cao Bian's methods of using geomancy to alter the spiritual flow of Jiao Qi were a calculated and innovative approach to political control. By identifying key locations and attempting to suppress dragon veins, he sought to weaken the cultural and spiritual fabric of the Vietnamese people. His story is a testament to the belief in the interconnectedness of physical, spiritual, and political realms, and his legacy continues to be remembered as an example of the complex interplay between geomancy and imperial power. Folklore and legends about Cao Bian and his suppression efforts. Cao Bian, the Tang Dynasty general, left a significant mark on the cultural memory of Vietnam through his efforts to suppress the dragon veins, mock Rome, and manipulate the spiritual energy of Jiao Qi. Modern-day northern Vietnam. His actions, intended to weaken the local spirit and ensure Chinese control, became deeply embedded in Vietnamese folklore, giving rise to various legends and beliefs about his geomantic practices. These stories reflect the collective resistance of the Vietnamese people and their enduring faith in their land's spiritual power. One of the most enduring legends involving Cao Bian centers around his journey across Jiao Qi to identify and suppress dragon veins, believed to be sources of powerful spiritual energy that sustained the people and the land.